Yorkov is a poet, singer, philosopher, and also an extremely unusual personality. Loved by his followers on YouTube, he became famous for his songs about how his ex-girlfriend, let her friend lick her, as well as about how she cleaned cheese under his foreskin, and also for his regular trips to the toilet where he releases brown snakes.
Hey kids, the 45 wants to break out of its ass. The 45. Come on, kids. Let's say hello to the 45. Let's say hello to the 45. The 45 wants to break out at fucking speed. Wow, kids.
And for addressing his subscribers while he releases gas for an impressively long time.
Ребята, домашнее задание слушаем.
I don't know if this is a joke or if he really believes it. Igor claimed that after her death, his enemies will end up in the, quote, brown country, where they will live in homes made of his feces. That's why he tries so hard in his toilet expose YouTube short videos, because he has so many enemies and apparently they all need homes. I don't even know what else can be said here, but we're gonna move on to the next one. Eva's a real YouTube old-timer. Started her career 14 years ago with funny videos where she dances, jokes, and shows her life. Later, the focus of her content shifted to animations. In them, Eva uses satire to touch on sensitive topics such as politics, society, propaganda, and more. Style is psychedelic and somewhat in the veins of works such as Salad Fingers.
Я офигею с Викиной бездуховности.
Лиса, не чата, что у тебя самой прегрешений до жопы?
Это реально греховный лук. Лис, ты сейчас лукавишь.
А не чатат факт, то, что это тупо гордыня, камон.
Олеся тоже сказала то, что это гордыня. Макс сказал Тенчику то, что Олеся сказала Стасику то, что это гордыня.
Окей, это уже от лукавого.
Окей.
А ты сейчас тупо осуждаешь ближнего. Ты осуждаешь ближнего.
I recommend checking out her content. Even if you don't know Russian, you can turn on the YouTube auto-dub feature and enjoy this very particular drawing style and humor. The auto-dub fits surprisingly well with most of this. Vita Mitya is a homeless old man who became known for his cooking videos. In his videos, he mixes incompatible products and cooks dishes like apples and cold chicken broth, strange soups made from random ingredients, as well as different life hack recipes from leftover food. For example, are you also annoyed when after finishing a cup of yogurt, there is still some left over inside? No problem, pour some water into it and drink the remains. Thanks, Vitya!
Это военное блюдо плацдарм, словно американская тушенка, понимаете? Во. Ну. Разглядывайте, задавайте вопросы.
This channel somewhat reminds me of M&J Metal.
Making it home for cheap and free. 2 pickles, little bit of Pepsi, little bit of Pepsi. 2 pickles, little bit of Pepsi, little bit of Pepsi.
If you need even more recipes, I recommend checking his content out too. The Emmerkam of the Magnitoshaktynsk region is one of the most famous Russian analog horror projects. Made in the format of training and warning videos from a fictional regional emergency service department, the story tells about the mysterious Magnitoshaktynsk region where strange phenomena occur. Unknown creatures appear and dangerous mental infections spread. In the videos, the viewer is shown instructions on how to survive encounters with various threats, including the Oblite, a creature attacking in forests, Yukromshiki, who kidnaps people near abandoned buildings, Zahurdia, who comes to homes at night, as well as the parasite called Unripe, which causes gradual loss of will and sanity. special feature of the series is that all the events are presented as real emergency situations, and the creatures are often connected with Slavic mythology. According to the plot, after a tragedy at a power station in 1992, anomalies began in the region, which led to the creation of a special anti-emergency unit dealing with unknown threats. The atmosphere of old training tapes, official instructions, and constant lack of clear explanations makes this project one of the creepiest representations of Russian analog horror. The Death of Police Officers is another underground analog horror that stayed almost unknown for many years. Uploaded to YouTube in 2016, the video is presented as a real police recording, which is important to understand, because in Russia, investigators sometimes film reconstructions of crimes with suspects present. The story, a police officer and a detective arrive at the apartment where a young woman has died. They begin by recording a reconstruction of the events with her boyfriend, who becomes the main suspect. First, the footage looks like a normal investigation. It's later revealed that before the girl died, the couple tried to perform some kind of occult ritual with candles and a book of spells. The suspect starts showing the officers where everything happened. Strange things begin to occur in the apartment. Lights flicker, objects move, and the witnesses become scared and try to leave. The suspect asks for a book hidden under a mattress, and when the officers find it, it's covered in blood, even though no one had touched it. After that, the situation quickly turns violent. One of the policemen starts acting strangely, breaking his own arm, and the electricity goes out while something is seen moving through the apartment. The recording ends with the detective trying to escape while the door is being cut open from outside. Before help arrives, he is attacked by something off camera, and the footage stops, leaving the impression that everyone inside the apartment was killed by whatever they accidentally summoned. Gennady Gorin is one of the strangest and at the same time one of the most recognizable characters of Russian YouTube. Many people know him from his absurd videos, strange sketches, and meme phrases. But behind this image, there's a rather heavy story. Gorin was born in 1972, and since childhood, he had suffered from severe speech problems and studied in a boarding school for children with disabilities. Due to this, he never managed to socialize normally. In adult life, he worked simple jobs and lived with his wife. After a rough divorce, he moved back to live with his mother. And from his own stories, it was clear that their relationship was rather strange. She often appeared in his videos, controlled his daily life, and was basically the only close person he had. But Gorin sometimes snapped at her, yelled, and said he even hated her.
Меня доконала моя мама. Сейчас мама убежала из этой комнаты, потому что я прогнал. Вот, нету мамы, она сейчас нет, вот, убежала, вот. Я хочу еще сказать, когда я болею гриппом, у меня насморк, не надо беспокоиться, не надо указывать, что мне надо пить, какие таблетки, я не хочу пить таблетки, а мама говорит, пей таблетки, я не хочу, я знаю, что мне делать, также моя мама учит, как надо беспокоиться.
His emotional and childlike content gradually devolved into videos where he screamed, hit himself on the head, and lost control. Gorin actually deleted his channel several times, even though they had collected millions of subscribers. Along with this, he would disappear from the internet for long periods of time. In the end, his story is not only the life of a funny internet character, but also an example of how sudden popularity can break a person who is not ready for it. Another controversial internet figure from the Russian-speaking segment of the internet is Melstroy. The streamer, originally from Belarus, became widely known for scandalous live broadcasts, first gaining attention at the very beginning of his streaming career on random video chat platforms similar to Omegle. Users connect with strangers through webcams. But unfortunately, his early popularity was also connected to accusations of inappropriate behavior during those streams, where he asked girls under 18 to show their private parts on camera. This led to a criminal case being opened against him in Belarus, and then he fled to Russia. Later, he continued to grow his audience through gambling streams, online challenges, and aggressive behavior on camera, with his fame increasing mostly because of constant conflicts, fights, and shocking actions done for views. Melstroy became especially infamous after several incidents where he assaulted people during live streams, the most well-known case being when he hit a female guest on stream, which led to criminal charges and court proceedings. After new legal problems appeared in Russia related to his activities, he again left the country and spent time living in several Arab states while continuing to stream from abroad. Over the years, he has also been accused of illegal gambling promotion, organizing questionable online contests involving large sums of money and drugs, and encouraging dangerous behavior among viewers, which is why he's often considered one of the most toxic and controversial streamers in Russian internet, while at the same time he remains extremely popular because of the constant scandals surrounding his name. Buckshot 2010 is an analog horror-style video created by the author Sanso, an alternate horror storyline inspired by Russian internet videos known as TV anomalies. The real-life murder of Vladislav Listiev, one of the most famous Russian television hosts of the early 1990s, who was assassinated in 1995, takes on a supernatural meaning. In reality, Listiev hosted a popular game show that was basically the Russian version of the Wheel of Fortune, and later became a major television executive before being shot dead in the entrance of his apartment. His crime remains unsolved and is often linked to the violent and unstable period of post-Soviet Russia. In the fictional universe created by the YouTube creator Sanso, this tragedy is reimagined as part of a cursed timeline. The television broadcast began to malfunction and reality itself seems to distort. One episode, presented as a damaged recording from Russian TV around 2010, Listiev appears alive again and takes part in the show. But then everything gradually becomes more surreal. Host Yakubovich behaves unnaturally, and the audience starts screaming. The dialogue turns ominous, and Listiev strangely predicts death during the game. The broadcast ends in chaos, suggesting that television has become a corrupted medium where the dead can return, and where old programs hide signs of an approaching apocalypse. Other videos by Sanso use the same concept, but with different shows from Russian television. And so also makes fake commercials and TV idents that suddenly turn disturbing, using familiar Russian media from the 90s and 2000s to create the feeling that something is wrong with reality itself, rather than showing direct horror. I strongly recommend watching this analog horror series to feel this unique atmosphere of post-Soviet Russia for yourself. The MedFilm Project is an archive of medical, educational, and documentary recordings created in the USSR and later digitalized and uploaded. All content on the channel is presented as training material for medicine, with a noticeable focus on genealogy and psychotherapy. Although the topic of childbirth can shock an unprepared viewer, it's still less interesting for us. For the psychotherapy recordings, the camera captures real conversations between doctors and patients, along with examinations, reactions to questions, and manifestations of disorders in their natural form. Because of this, the recordings create a very heavy impression. The viewer hears confused speech, observes delusional ideas, emotional breakdowns, catatonic stress, and other forms of mental disorders that usually remain outside the public space. Many of the videos were filmed as educational material for medical students and psychiatrists. so there is no attempt to make what is happening understandable or comfortable for an ordinary viewer. Doctors ask direct questions, check memory, orientation, perception of reality, and gradually it becomes clear how much a human personality can change during severe mental illness. So all videos are available with subtitles in different languages. So if you're interested in the topic of mental disorders, I recommend checking the material for yourself. Ivan Gamos is a cult-like figure of early Roulette. At first, these were strange but harmless videos. Game reviews, bedroom tips, and experiments like drink shampoo or put a hairdryer in your mouth. Even then, it was clear that he behaved rather unusually, spoke strangely, and often did not understand how he looked from the outside. Later, it became known that his physical problems were related to the fact that he was dropped on the floor in the maternity hospital after birth. Over time, an audience appeared around him. Some supported his strange and naive personality, while others were trolls. He began to be provoked and started losing control more often, swearing, threatening, and calling himself a genius, and demanding respect. Gradually, much stranger things began to appear. In streams, he talked about perverted fantasies, demanded that people send him strange videos where animals defecate, showed interest in topics connected with abortion, and said himself that it excited him. The loudest scandal happened when during a stream, a folder named was accidentally shown on his computer. After that, he tried to justify himself, saying he knew nothing, that these were just files from the internet. But after this, his reputation was permanently ruined, and the internet viewed him not as a strange blogger, but as a potentially dangerous person. Viewers were also able to dig up 2 videos on porn sites that he participated in. In one of them, Gamos masturbated while watching cows defecate, and in another, he recorded his own defecation. Later, his behavior became even stranger. He said that he wanted relationships with men, then denied it, then admitted it again. He streamed on webcam sites, asked for donations, constantly complained about his family, haters, and about how everyone interferes with his day-to-day life. His relatives seemed to reach the boiling point and limited his internet access, and he ended up in psychiatric treatment. Now he still appears in the digital space from time to time, but as an apathetic and depressed person, without any prospects and hated by many. Kamikaze D is one of the early bloggers of Roulette who eventually became known not so much for his videos as for his obsession with the topic of the Russian government and persecution. In the late 2000s, he made ordinary internet satire videos, but after 2014 and 2015, he almost completely switched to political content, where he constantly talked about censorship, bots, view manipulation, and pressure from authorities. In his videos, there were regular statements that algorithms work against him, that his channel is being deliberately suppressed, and that people connected with the government stand behind the drop in activity. He directly accused YouTube, which belongs to Google, of cooperating with Putin, and due to this, the platform supposedly strangled his channel. However, the loss of interest in his content was more likely caused by disappointment of Russian viewers, whom he often insulted, calling them pigs and slaves.
14, к тому же один из них учится в элитной школе Заринска. До их родителей дозвониться не удалось, но педагоги школы, где учится второй подросток, и, кстати, там же 10-летний...
Слушайте, Алтайский край, я вас призываю, приезжайте все в Заринск. Узнайте родителей этих ублюдков, узнайте этих ублюдков, переверните там все вверх дном, но накажите этих мразей! Это животные, которые недостойны жить! Они недостойны дышать! Они недостойны находиться на территории любой страны!
Later, he talked about surveillance and suspicious people appearing near his house. After leaving Russia, this topic only became stronger, and most of his content turned into news commentary of constant statements about pressure and threats. Over time, his content started to look more and more nervous and obsessed, and the talk about persecution stopped being part of an image and became the main theme of his channel. Using him as an example, we can see how excessive politicization can drive people crazy and develop paranoia in their own head, as well as increased aggression. Lunatic X is an extremely poorly made horror game created by the YouTuber Carl Sagan. For those who don't know the context, Lunatic is a very popular Russian cartoon character for children. For a long time, many people actually thought that Lunatic X was just a joke parody of Sonic.exe made by some random troll. It later became clear that behind it was not an ironic troll, a person with a heavy past and unstable psyche. According to different retellings, Carl had serious childhood injuries, health problems, and a difficult family situation, including a violent mother and general social neglect. Already in early YouTube, he became known for videos where he showed bursts of aggression, death threats, and constantly arguing with haters. He considered almost everyone around him stupid and illiterate. Not surprisingly, he was constantly trolled, and he only lost control more, which quickly turned him into a niche lolcow, similar to Chris Chan. Against this backdrop, Lunatic X is perceived not as a meme, but as a direct continuation of the author's personality, crooked and dark. Later, he changed his name and tried to move away from his old image, and began to behave calmer, but in the history of the Russian internet, he still remained as an extremely aggressive person with problems in thinking. Gobzar is one of the most famous characters of Russian trash streaming. Became popular not alone, but in a duo of his mother Ludmila. Starting as ordinary streamers, their content quickly turned into an internet freak show. Alcohol, screaming, humiliations, challenges for donations, and constant family scandals live on the stream. The main reason why people talk so much about Gobzar was not only his trash content, but the painful atmosphere of their relationship. Andrew regularly crossed the boundaries of normal behavior with his mother for donations. He touched her, climbed on her, and allowed scenes that viewers perceived as open incest. The most famous episodes of their streaming career includes a French kiss for a donation, spitting into each other's mouths, and putting his mom's dirty underwear on his head. All this was presented as a show for money, but from the outside it looked like a mixture of moral decay and degradation. At the same time, Gobzar was not only remembered for his strange scenes, but also for aggression. On streams he shouted at his mother, kicked her out of the room, threatened her, pinched her, and in the harshest episodes it even reached beating. One of the most famous moments is where he, in drunken rage, rushed at her with a bottle while his mother screamed from the blows. Later, it was these exact episodes that became the reason for mass complaints, police attention, and the final transformation of Gobzar from just a freak into a symbol of the sick and broken Russian internet. Gobzar, now hated by almost everyone, has stopped streaming entirely and lives on the money earned from dirty donations. Durkin became widely known for videos where he made reviews of liquids not intended for drinking in the image of a pseudo-aristocrat. He called himself a certified taster and described the taste of cologne, lotions, and technical fluids as if it were expensive alcohol. His most famous videos include triple cologne, cucumber lotion, antifreeze, and windshield washer fluid. It was the unusual manner of speech and serious presentation that made these videos viral. In his childhood, he had an unfortunate accident where he received injuries and a disability. He lived on a pension, sometimes worked, and spent most of his time at home. According to relatives, he did not film the videos alone, but together of people who helped write scripts and organize filming. Later it was revealed that Din, like several other disabled people, was under the control of some kind of director. He forced them to drink all these liquids, beat them on camera, humiliated them, and threatened to take away their money. At some point, Din could not take it anymore and ran away, after which he did not appear on the internet for some time. It was reported that after the escape, he had serious problems with alcohol and health, and in 2019, Din died from alcoholism. Sergei Simonov is a blogger who for many years built the image of a successful, cultured, and rational person. He made videos about sports, expensive things, travel, family values, talked about kindness, positivity, honesty, and a healthy lifestyle. From the outside, everything looked as if he had a normal, wealthy family life. His wife Victoria, who worked as a dentist, their life was filled with trips around Europe, good hotels, purchases, and conversations about love and loyalty. But later it became clear that this picture was held up mostly by his wife and an external facade. After the divorce from Victoria, with whom he had no children, Simonov quickly began to degrade. The man who used to say that alcohol is dirt and weakness started drinking himself. Instead of motivational videos, drunk streams appeared, conflicts, trash donations asking him to urinate in the kitchen sink.
Я не обижу. Все, съебал сразу, блядь, после тебя. Ну, точнее.
And attempts to prove to everyone that he is still an important person. The many reasons for the divorce may have been his affair with another woman, whom he married after the divorce. But the mistress turned out not to be the most pleasant wife. She cheated on him, beat him, humiliated him in public, but Sergei had no other choice but to endure all this. Simonov's channel is a direct example of how alcoholism and lust destroy what once seemed like a beautiful unit of society, and people who give in to their lowest base desires lose a life full of comfort and luxury, receiving only humiliation and complete moral decay. Stakov Sergei is a character of the lower internet who became known in the early 2010s thanks to his strange everyday videos. He filmed clips where he patriotically danced with Russian flags, talked about Orthodox Christianity, cooked food, shared his stupid poems, and showed icons in his daily life. From the outside, it looked like a blog of a very closed and mentally unstable person who used YouTube as a replacement for normal communication. If you look deeper, his story is quite heavy. Since childhood, Sergei had serious health problems, poorly socialized, studied at home, and in the family, according to him, everything was not good either. He lost his father early, lived with his mother and stepfather. According to Sergei, his stepfather hated him and dreamed of getting rid of his stepson together with his mother in order to take their apartment. To add on to this, he was disabled and mostly lived alone. The internet became his only way to get attention and contact with people. Because of his manner of speech, appearance, and behavior, he quickly became an object of mockery. His videos were spread, people joked about him, and he at the same time revealed more and more of his personal life, uploading increasingly strange content. He admitted non-traditional orientation and also sent nude photos. After the death of his mother, his condition, judging by the videos, became noticeably worse. In the last recordings, he already had clear signs of serious health problems. There are opinions that the stepfather deliberately did not take care of him, trying to send him to the grave as soon as possible. In 2016, Stakov Sergei tragically died of a heart attack at the age of 32. Lincoln Simpson, whose real name is Anatoly, also known as Anatoly, is a cult figure of the Russian internet underground. He became known for recording videos for years from the same spot in his room, sitting behind a wardrobe. He lives with his mother who, according to him, never even wanted to give birth to him. Lincoln almost never leaves the house, doesn't work, and mostly survives thanks to donations and help from people who he knows online. The main reason he gives for not working is simple. He just has a strong dislike of work. The strangest part of his story is his long-term obsession with the American singer Danielle Bradbury. He talked about her constantly in his videos, asked acquaintances to follow her social media, discussed every song she released, and seriously dreamed about meeting her and moving to the United States. Over time, this stopped looking like harmless admiration and started to resemble a full-blown obsession.
Hi Daniel, if you see this, if you hear this, please, Daniel, please, I love you. Please talk to me, Daniel. I love you so much. I need you, Daniel. I need you. I wanna talk to you. I just wanna tell you some things. I never loved this life, this world. I never wanted to live. Never. So your boyfriend, I hope you're happy. I hope you enjoying your life. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. Yeah. Please ask your boyfriend Eli. He has, I think, in his Instagram messages, direct messages, requests or invites. I think they call invites, right? Direct messages, invites. It should be in, I think that was September 11.
Eventually, after noticing his behavior, the singer blocked Lincoln, which sent him into a hysterical reaction. At one point, trolls decided to prank him by convincing him they had contact with her. For several months, he was messaging someone who pretended to be Danielle Bradbury. When he found out it was all an elaborate troll, he had a serious breakdown, after which he said he wanted to go to a monastery and give up normal life entirely. There was also accusations surrounding him about strange conversations, which led to people trying to revoke and harass him online. Nothing was ever proven, but after that he became even more paranoid, saying that he was being watched, that people wanted to frame him, and that others were deliberately interfering with his life. In the end, Anil Toli became an example of someone who completely fell out of normal life. For years he lived in the same room, avoids real communication, builds an ideal world inside his head, and grows more and more afraid of reality, which is why his story is often mentioned as one of the strangest and saddest examples of extreme influentism. Computer Sim is the internet nickname of a teenager from Russia who became known on YouTube and TikTok because of videos filled with screaming, aggression, and emotional breakdowns during games, or everyday situations. His clips spread as memes, but behind them was a very rough life situation, full of hatred and physical punishment from his parents. As a child, he was diagnosed with autism, which affected his speech, his behavior, and his ability to control emotions. From an early age, he was very closed off, spent most of his time at home, played the same games over and over again, and barely communicated with other children. According to some unconfirmed comments, his isolation was also connected to bullying because of his mental and speech difficulties. The internet became his only way to express himself, so he started recording videos, first normal Let's Plays, and later recordings from his everyday life. Over time, bursts of irritation and screaming started appearing more and more often in his videos. He could lose control because of something small, an ad, a game error, or not being able to log into an account. Sim would start yelling, hitting his console, and then his parents would come into the room and begin beating him. These exact moments were what spread across the internet and made him famous. According to available information, conflicts in the family happen very often, usually with shouting, threats, and physical punishment. In some recordings, you can hear his parents raising their voices at him, demanding that he stop filming or taking his equipment away by force. Instead of trying to explain things while considering his diagnosis, they used harsh methods of discipline, which only made his breakdowns worse and increased his fear of people. The situation became even worse after a younger child was born. The parents' attention shifted to the new baby, and Sim began to be treated as nothing more than a problem and a burden. At the same time, his hysterical episodes were seen simply as bad behavior, not as symptoms of a disorder. In many videos from 2021, the parents didn't even call him by name. They used only insults. His parents repeatedly deleted his channels, believing that the internet was the cause of his problems. But for him, recording videos was the only way to deal with stress. After his accounts were deleted, he reacted even more emotionally, recording new videos with screaming and uploading them again. The story of Computer Sim is often seen as an example of how difficult life can be for people with autism. When a mental disorder is combined with domestic violence and constant harassment on the internet, it can completely destabilize an already fragile psyche. and in the end, even the closest people can stop seeing you as a human being. Igor Goffman is a Ukrainian video blogger and one of the most well-known examples of schizophasic speech disorder. Schizophasia is a condition where phrases sound grammatically correct, but their meaning breaks apart into a disconnected flow. In Goffman's speech, this can be heard in almost every sentence. For example, the method of the old temple he calls Kabbalistic lawlessness, or salt is an everyday product, however it is the quintessential of something. Formally, the words are connected, but the meaning slips away. At first, he simply shared his strange thoughts, but over time, more and more delusional ideas and suspicion began to appear in his speech. He seriously claimed that the people around him changed their appearance, watch him, and enter his life. For example, the phrase, "all ambulances are the same people," he's described a situation where a paramedic refused to appear in the video while giving him medical help. And the phrase, "he comes in the form of my mother and lies in my bed," he said while talking about his paranoia about surveillance. A serious blow for him, apparently, was the death of his mother. He lived with her his whole life, and beside her, he had no close people. Even though sometimes he allowed himself to speak to her rudely, after that his videos became noticeably darker, and his condition seemed to get worse. Late Goffman sounds heavier than early Goffman. More repetitions, more confusion, and more depressive thoughts. At the moment, nothing is known about his condition. Because he stopped uploading his videos to YouTube, presumably Igor lost his connection with reality and no longer distinguishes delusion from life. Mr. Caddy has an old YouTube channel created in 2011. It is run by a middle-aged woman about whom almost nothing is known. Over the years, she uploaded more than 1,000 videos, most of which look strange and incoherent. The first videos are short slideshows or recordings of singing, but later the content becomes more and more disturbing. Videos start appearing where she simply cries into the camera, stays silent for long periods, or shows close-ups of wounds and cuts on her body. In some recordings, she screams or speaks in incoherent monologues. One of the most famous videos being the so-called biological attack, after which, according to the author, she had to communicate with the police. What exactly happened is unknown, but after that, the strange videos continued to appear. At the same time, some videos look like ordinary home creativity, singing, drawings, simple slideshows. Because of this, it feels like the channel is run by a person with mental problems who uses YouTube as a way to express their condition. Mr. Kadia is often mentioned in compilations of strange channels as an example of an account where you can watch the gradual deterioration of a person's mental state in real time. Zuri5 is the internet nickname of a user from Russia known for a large number of strange and extremely disturbing videos on YouTube. He had several channels where he uploaded hundreds of videos of similar content. Most of the videos are connected with cooking and eating animals, often in unnatural or decomposed condition. In the videos, he shows how he cooks mice, birds, shrews, snails, and other small animals, sometimes ones he already found dead. In some recordings, he deliberately left carcasses outside or in traps so that later he could film their cutting or cooking. There are also videos where he eats raw meat, talks about the taste of dead animals, or explains how roadkill can be prepared. A separate part of the content consists of videos with clear fetish elements. He regularly filmed himself walking in clothes through water, swimming in cold weather, or deliberately getting soaked, which is associated with the so-called wet look fetish. Wet look fetish is a type of fetishism where a person gets pleasure from the sight of wet clothes or a wet body, usually when the person is fully dressed while being in water or under rain. The channels also contain scenes of eating, dismembering, and showing parts of animals, which some viewers connect with vorophilia and other deviations. But an even more disturbing detail is his interest in the genre known as Zuguro. It is noticeable that Zuyuri shows an unhealthy fascination with the torture and killing of animals. Because of his large library of shocking content, his videos spread mostly in closed communities and forums, where Zuyuri is often mentioned as one of the strangest and most disturbing figures from the lower levels of the Russian-speaking internet. One of the creepiest stories connected with the theme of hikikomori and complete isolation is shown in the documentary film called In Search of Valentina Abramova. This film was based on a real case that happened in a small Russian town called Shukino. In 2008, an apartment there was open that had been considered empty for more than 10 years. The neighbors were sure that the owner had long ago moved away or died somewhere else, because she barely communicated with anyone and lived very privately. When the door was finally opened, inside they found the mummified body of a woman, Valentina Abramova. According to approximate estimates, she died back in the mid-1990s and laid in the apartment for about 13 years without anyone noticing. The film does not just tell you about the discovery itself, but tries to understand who this woman was and why everyone forgot about her. It turns out that in the past she was a music teacher, lived quietly, never had conflicts with anyone, but gradually became more and more withdrawn after the death of her mother, and eventually completely cut herself off from the outside world. The scariest part of this story is not even the death itself, but the fact that during all those years, nobody, neither neighbors nor utility services, nor government authorities, ever questioned where she had gone. And the film shows that sometimes to disappear, you don't need to run away or hide. It's simply enough to live alone, quietly, and slowly stop existing for everyone around you. Yulia Finis is an internet personality who became known in the early 2020s, thanks to scandalous videos on social media and Telegram channels. Most of her content consisted of recordings from everyday life where she showed unstable behavior, aggression towards random people, street provocations, and live streams while under the influence of drugs. According to open sources and her own videos, she used synthetic drugs, including so-called salts and other stimulants. She also advertised drug shops in her Telegram channels. In the recordings, there are clear signs of addiction: sharp mood swings, incoherent speech, bursts of aggression, loss of control over behavior, and noticeable deterioration of her appearance, severe thinness, skin problems, hair loss, and constant signs of exhaustion. Her content was often built around conflicts with passerbyers, store employees, or police. In several cases, there were reports about detentions, placements in psychiatric hospitals, and checks by law enforcement. At the same time, she continued to publish new videos, which only increased the audience interest. The story of Yulia Finis is often used as an example of how drug addiction gradually destroys a person's personality. First behavior and social circle change, then mental state appearance, and then the ability to function normally in society begin to suffer. In severe cases, this leads to complete social degradation, problems with the law, and serious risks to life. TechnoFox is a furry blogger who became known because of many years of harassment on the internet, strange behavior, and a large number of scandals connected with the furry community, leaks, trolling, and suspicions of illegal actions. His real name is Artyom. He grew up in a poor family, was bullied since childhood, and started uploading videos to the internet very early. Entire hate communities appeared around him, his personal data was leaked, couriers and police were called to the house, his home was vandalized, windows were broken, edited photos were made, and he was forced to say humiliating things on camera, which made him an even easier target. One might think that TechnoFox is only a victim, but in fact the initial hate was caused by repeated episodes of attempts to create files in the formats known as PDF and ZOO, if you understand what that means. Later, more serious scandals started to appear. On the internet, conversations were spread where he communicated with sent intimate photos, and tried to meet teenagers at furry community gatherings. There's also a known case where he went at night to meet a minor talking on the internet, which caused an even bigger wave of harassment and accusations. Unfortunately for TechnoFox, instead of a child, he was met by an adult man who beat him up and forced him to say humiliating things on camera. Another part of the story is his environment. In closed chats where he communicated, there were people with extremely strange interests, including fetish communities, discussions of zoophilia, and exchange of explicit materials, showing, so to speak, interspecies interaction. Some of these chats were later leaked online, which finally fixed his reputation as one of the dirtiest characters of the Russian-speaking internet. Terror is an internet conspiracy theory spread within the Russian-speaking part of YouTube and online forums. People who call themselves victims of Terror claim that so-called psychotronic weapons are being used against them. capable of influencing thoughts and behavior with the help of radiation, gas, or hidden devices. On YouTube, there are dozens of channels where authors upload long videos saying that they are being watched by special forces, neighbors, or unknown operators who are directing emitters at them. In some cases, the videos last for several hours and consist of recordings of night observations, calls to the police, or attempts to capture an attack on camera. Some claim that they are being poisoned with gas, that their thoughts are being read, or that their bodies are controlled remotely. Often in these videos, you can see family members of the author who looks tired or sick. While off camera, there are stories about how they are slowly being killed with directed radiation. For example, one woman claimed that she had been poisoned by radiation for a long time and that her family had been killed and replaced with doubles. At the same time, her daughter was sitting nearby and crying. Later, it turned out that this woman threw her daughter out of a window. Fortunately, the daughter survived. Among supporters of Psi Terror, there are entire groups who gather together, record appeals, and discuss methods of protection from so-called Psi weapons. They believe that the attacks are carried out by special services, secret organizations, or global experiments on the population. There are known cases where people who believed in Psi Terror harmed themselves while trying to remove chips from their bodies or getting rid of supposed influence. Because of this, the phenomenon is often considered not just a conspiracy theory, but an example of mass mental disorder spread through the internet. Maxim Marcinkovich, also known as Cleaver, was a well-known blogger and activist of the early 2010s. During the rise of YouTube, he became popular thanks to his project where his group searched for men who were communicating with partners online. They arranged meetings while pretending to be on after which they humiliated them, beat them, forced them to confess on camera, and uploaded the videos to YouTube. The videos quickly spread across the internet, people made memes, quotes, and edits from them, and for part of the audience, Cleaver looked like someone doing what the police would not do. At the same time, the methods were openly cruel, often without real proof, and over time it became clear that it looked more like vigilante justice for views than fighting real crime. Later it turned out that behind this image, there was a much darker reality. Back in the early 2000s, Marcinkovich was part of a radical nationalist group known as Skinheads, and communicated with people who later became involved in cases of murders motivated by hatred. After his arrest and the start of a criminal case, he began to be questioned about older incidents. Crime started to surface that had previously only been known by rumor. According to testimony, in those years, he and other members of ultra-right groups lured migrants from other post-Soviet countries out of the city under the pretext of work. After arriving in deserted places, they beat them and sometimes filming the process on video, and later tried to hide the remains. After these charges began to be revealed, the public attitude toward Cleaver changed greatly. For some, he remained a meme character from the internet. For others, a person connected with real violence and serious crimes of the early 2000s. In 2020, while under investigation, Marcinkovich died in a prison cell at the age of 36. Officially, it was reported as but many rumors and theories appeared around his death, which is why his story still remains one of the darkest and most controversial in the history of the Russian internet. This video often appears in shocking compilations that circulate on the internet. It shows footage from a car dash cam where, according to Russian media, two families were driving to the sea for vacation. At first, nothing unusual happens, but at some point a truck appears in the opposite lane. In the middle of the video, an object flies off the truck, which looks small because of the distance and perspective. However, the object quickly moves towards the car and crashes into the windshield. Later, it became clear that this was a large burned brick. After breaking through the glass, the brick hit the passenger seat. Since all of this happens in the background, we do not see exactly what happened to the person who was struck, but from the driver's screams and hysteria, it becomes clear that the passenger was seriously injured. Later, it was reported that the passenger was the driver's wife, a 29-year-old woman. The brick hit her directly in the temple, knocking her unconscious. After the ambulance arrived, she died about 2 hours after being hospitalized. According to some reports, she was the mother of several children. The recording from that dashcam remains a reminder that at any moment, What looks like a small accident can turn into a terrible tragedy. On May 11, 2021, an attack took place at Gymnasium number 175 in the city of Kazan, Russia. In the morning around 9:30, a former student of the school came to the building carrying a legally registered shotgun and homemade explosive device. As he approached the school, he opened fire near the entrance, after which he managed to get inside the building and began shooting in the hallways and classrooms. At that moment, lessons were in progress, teachers locked the doors, students hid in classrooms, and some people jumped out of the windows trying to escape. As a result of the attack, 9 people, 7 students and 2 staff members. More than 20 people were injured with different degrees of severity, and the attacker was detained by police at the scene. The attacker had previously studied at this school and had been expelled from college a few months before the attack. Before the shooting, he posted messages on the internet where he called himself God and wrote about his hatred for people. Later, he underwent a psychiatric examination. The court declared him insane, after which he was sent for compulsory treatment. At the moment, several videos recorded by surveillance cameras during the tragedy can still be found online. In them, you can see both the shooting itself and the destruction inside the school after the incident. It's difficult to understand how YouTube allowed this to remain online. The worst part is that the wound left by this event is still fresh, and the relatives have to live knowing that somewhere there are recordings of the last moments of their loved ones in that cursed school. Alim Kuakhmadov was the author of a YouTube channel with the same name, where for several years he uploaded videos claiming that he was being watched through cameras installed directly in his eyes. According to him, everything started after he broke up with a certain woman. Alim said that he suspected that she knew too much about him and was somehow able to watch his every move. Over time, he became convinced that this woman had implanted chips into his body and placed micro cameras in his eyes, through which unknown people were watching him 24/7. He claimed that he felt burning sensations, heard interference, felt vibrations in his head, and was sure that his thoughts were being read. In the videos, he often looks exhausted, speaks incoherently, sometimes starts crying, complains about pain in his eyes, and says that he cannot sleep normally. He said that he went to doctors, but they did not believe him and told him that he only had inflammation or dry eyes. After that, he decided that the doctors were also part of the conspiracy against him. The most disturbing videos are the ones where he tries to remove the cameras from his eyes himself. He showed how he pulled the surface of the eye, pulled out it with tweezers, and searched inside for chips. After such attempts, his eyesight became worse, but he continued to claim that the devices were still inside. According to him, these ideas began to cause problems with his work and family. He said that people around him consider him insane, and that his relatives do not understand what is happening to him. In some videos, he mentioned that he had been in a psychiatric hospital, but he was sure that he had been placed there on purpose to hide the truth. Over time, the channel turned into a chronicle of the gradual collapse of a person going deeper and deeper into paranoia. At the moment, the situation looks bad. Alim's eyes are constantly red, and his psychological state can be described as severely depressed. This video spread widely on YouTube and is connected to a tragedy that happened in the Menchernsky district. According to available information, 2 schoolboys decided to climb onto a stationary freight train and record a video on a phone. One of them climbed onto the roof of a wagon and started filming, showing the surroundings and talking to his friend named Igor. During the recording, the boy got too close to the contact wire above the train, which was carrying high voltage electricity. According to reports, the voltage in the train was around 20,000 volts. While trying to turn around and wave to his friend, he accidentally touched the wire, causing a powerful electric discharge. Igor! Came instantly. Later, this fragment began to spread on the internet, first in closed communities, and then as re-uploads on different sites, including YouTube. In some cases, the recording was used in shock compilations or reaction videos, which made the video even more widely known. Ian is a disturbing video from the channel Pigs of Kaban. In this shock-style documentary, an incident is shown that happened on a Russian pig farm. In the video, a small piglet desperately squeals and tries to escape from a huge aggressive boar. Because of its small size, the rest of the herd did not accept it and left it to be hard. At first, the boar only bites slightly and pushes the piglet with its head. This continues for quite a long time until the aggression takes over and he starts tearing the flesh of the helpless animal. Other pigs smelling blood also begin to join in. Under the screams of the piglet, the floors, the walls, and the snouts of the other pigs turn red. After the piglet dies, it begins to be treated as food. Considering how fast pigs eat, most likely by morning nothing was left of the victim except bones. This video can still be found on YouTube without much difficulty. Even more, sometimes YouTube itself recommends it. Maybe because it is considered educational content, or maybe because YouTube seems to worry more about bad words than about footage where a pig is alive. Poor piglet, at least we can rest easy knowing all the other pigs that ate him are sausages now. A video titled 4242 appeared on YouTube in November 2007 and quickly spread across forums as a strange and disturbing clip with no explanation. The video shows a truck covered in snow. An unknown person slowly climbs into it, then opens the trap and shows what is inside. Inside are two frozen bodies. At the end, an inscription appears, "This is how Ilton died." For a long time, people thought the video was staged or just random footage from an accident, but later users connected it with real events that happened in the settlement of Ilton. Ilton was founded in the late 1930s after a large deposit of tin, tungsten, and other metals was discovered. The settlement was built as a strategic industrial site. After the war, a road more than 200 kilometers long was constructed, used to deliver equipment and transport ore. In Soviet times, Ilton was an important mining center with thousands of residents. After the collapse of the USSR, the enterprise became unprofitable. And in the early 1990s, mining decreased, salaries were delayed for months, and supplies became worse. Hunger began in the settlement, and at the same time, crime increased. In the last years of Ilton, there were cases of looting, theft of equipment, attacks on warehouses and transport, and for profit. There was no one left to protect the citizens. Abandoned houses were taken apart for metal, and some residents survived by illegally selling fuel and machinery. In 1994, the plant was finally closed. Heating stopped working in the homes, and fires started because of the homemade stoves and heaters. People were evacuated gradually, but some workers stayed until the end, hoping that production would be restored. These events are often connected with the footage shown in the video 4242. According to one version, several people tried to leave the settlement in winter by truck, but the vehicle broke down in the tundra and people froze inside the cargo area. By the end of the 1990s, Ilton was completely abandoned. Now it is a ghost town with empty homes, destroyed factories, and equipment covered in snow. One of the darkest episodes connected with the Russian internet is the story known as the case of Angelina. In different sources, her name appears differently, and sometimes the name Felicia is used, which is connected with attempts to hide the real identity of the girl. The tragedy happened in winter in one of the apartments of a multi-story building. She recorded short videos, talked to friends, and did not seem different from many other teenagers. That evening, she stayed at home with younger relatives. At some point, a neighbor came to the door in a state of heavy alcohol intoxication. He began knocking loudly, shouting, and demanding that the door be opened. According to witnesses, the knocking continued for quite a long time. The girl decided to record a short video in which she told her subscribers that she was scared and that her neighbor was trying to get into the apartment. In the video, you can hear the banging on the door and her nervous voice.
Мне страшно. Я с братом младшим, старшим, и там еще ремонт делают. Папа ушел в магазин. Я не знаю, что делать, короче. Он просто нам сейчас дверь сломает.
She decided that the danger had passed, and she was waiting for her parents to come back and did not suspect that the neighbor was still nearby. When someone knocked on the door again, she came closer thinking that it was someone from her family. At that moment, shots were fired through the door from a hunting weapon. The bullets went through the wooden door, and Angelina died. Artyom and Tatiana were students. They filmed parts of their lives and posted the recordings on different online platforms. Both were attractive and seemed to live happily. They uploaded videos of themselves drinking with friends, listening to music, and complaining about university assignments. They also had something like a romantic relationship, which later ended, but they continued living in the same apartment because the conditions were convenient. Artyom developed a strong attachment to the girl, which over time turned into an obsessive state. He became irritated by their men around Tatiana, but she did not want to move out because the apartment was good and the living conditions were favorable and comfortable. On the day of the tragedy, they were alone in the apartment. A conflict happened between them, after which Artyom struck Tatiana. She received multiple knife wounds and died at the scene. After that, he did not call the police or an ambulance, but stayed in the apartment next to the body. After that, 3 acts of necrophilia were confirmed on his part. Artyom lived for several days with the corpse in the apartment. During that time, he wrote long messages on social networks and forums. In them, he described what had happened, his thoughts, his feelings, and his motives. He wrote that he had long felt hatred towards himself, loneliness, and that he saw no meaning in life. In the same messages, he confessed and said that he was not going to hide. Screenshots of his posts spread across social networks and news sites even before the police officially confirmed the incident. Many users were reading these texts in real time while the criminal was still inside the apartment. Later, Artyom himself in the same apartment where the murder had taken place. When the police arrived, both bodies were inside. The case caused huge public reaction, not only because of the cruelty of the crime, but also because the killer eventually kept an online diary immediately after the murder. But the most shocking part is how a life that looked beautiful and full of future ended in such a terrible way. There's still a YouTube channel for archived videos where the two of them can still be seen happy before the tragedy. The story of Stas Panini, better known as Refly, became one of the most horrifying live stream cases in the Russian-speaking internet. Like some of the previous characters from the Iceberg, he did trash streams where he completed tasks for donations. Often these involved humiliation, abuse of himself, or abuse of people who were with him in the apartment. In December 2020, Panini once again started a stream together with his girlfriend Valentina. After drinking heavily, Stas became irritated by her presence and decided to carry out his usual punishment, which he called baptism. The idea was to pour cold water on a person, put them on the balcony, and then lock the door. This happened at night in freezing temperatures. During the whole stream, Panini insulted Valentina and behaved arrogantly, but at some point her request to let her back inside stopped. After some time, Panini brought her back into the apartment, thinking that she had simply fallen asleep. He was not alarmed by the unnatural color of her skin or the complete absence of signs of life. When he realized what had happened, he started to panic. Everything was still happening live. The stream did not even stop when the medics arrived. On camera, you can see the doctors confirming her death. Later, it was reported that the cause was hypothermia combined with severe exhaustion of the body. The stream quickly spread across the internet, and recordings were re-uploaded on forums and video sites. The story caused huge public outcry. The worst part of this situation is not only the streamer himself, but also the viewers. None of them tried to call the police. On the contrary, many people in the chat asked him to keep her outside even longer. Even at the moment when her death was confirmed, there was mocking in the comments. It was those same viewers who were donating money for the baptism. After the investigation, Stas was detained, and later the court found him guilty of causing death by negligence. Alexander Vasilya is a serial killer from Krasnoyarsk, known by his nickname Black Angel. In the late 90s and early 2000s, he committed a series of brutal attacks during which he killed random people for money or simply to eliminate witnesses. He usually committed his crimes in the same way. He searched for advertisements selling items, called the number, came pretending to be a buyer, and then attacked the owners of the apartment. His victims include pensioners, drivers, random acquaintances, summer homeowners, and even his own accomplices. According to investigators, he was responsible for more than a dozen murders and many robberies. For several years, he remained uncaught. Vasilyev did not leave the city, did not change his appearance, and continued living an ordinary life. He was arrested by accident after a car crash when weapons and items connected to the crimes were found inside the vehicle. During interrogations, he described the murders in detail, without showing almost any emotions. Later, an examination declared him sane, but noted a complete lack of empathy towards the victims. In 2002, the court sentenced him to a long prison term. However, because of the cooperation with the investigation and changes in the law, he avoided life imprisonment. In total, he spent about 16 years in prison. In 2017, he was released early because of cancer. After his release, he unexpectedly appeared on the internet. The former serial killer created social media accounts and started uploading short videos. In them, he danced, walked around shopping centers and parks, smiling at strangers, and tried to behave like a normal blogger. Many users at first did not understand who he was. When it became known that the uploader of the videos was a man convicted of multiple murders, his accounts began to spread online. Some people were shocked, others saw it as just another strange internet phenomenon. He died in 2020, living only a few years after his release. It's possible the awareness of approaching death gave him motivation to live his last years happily, a luxury his victims never had. Now the videos he recorded remain the only reminder that this person once existed.